Hello and welcome back to the Movie Pope podcast. And today we are going to be taking a look at the teaser trailer for Supergirl, starring Millie Aycock. I nearly mangled that right there. We saw Millie Aycock at the end of Superman when it came out in July of 2025. And I gotta say, it's a pretty interesting portrayal of Kara Zor-El. But before we dive in, remember to like, comment, subscribe. We're slowly growing our audience, so if you can help us out, hit the subscribe button and leave us a like and let us know what your thoughts are down below. We greatly appreciate it. So, Lee, roughly around the same time last year, right, we did our trailer reaction for Superman from James Gunn, and at that time, we were kind of, wondering like what was going to happen in that movie, and I remember we thought it was a pretty bold choice that James Gunn would make Superman the first superhero movie of his revamped DC universe, right? Because he was doing Peacemaker and he was doing Creature Commandos, and we know that James Gunn has a knack for taking obscure characters and kind of bringing them into the public spotlight. But Superman, we kind of felt like you might have bitten off a bit more than that you could handle. And unfortunately, when we did a review of Superman, later in 2025, we kind of, well, how would you describe it, Lee? I'm a little bit lost for words.
It was visually very interesting, right? I just felt like it was very crowded with what they wanted to do, right? There was like at times where there was like whole plot elements where I was like, oh, wait a minute, wasn't the world getting destroyed? And I totally forgotten about it because they were focusing on 10,000 other things that were going on. So, I think it was a very interesting thing. And I would say I was happy to go see it. I think it's always kind of a challenge to do Superman just because of the character he is. And that's why I will say, as we watch the trailer for this, it is interesting, right, that we're going with a different take, but I feel like it's almost a risk you have to take when you're trying to do a character like this.
Well, I will say. So would you say it's more of a necessity because when you look at Superman, I mean he's a bit of a goody two shoes, right? I mean, in the comics, Batman calls him the Boy Scout, right? So so obviously you have to show Superman as like this big upstanding guy who's like, oh geez, guys, like I don't know if we should do that. I mean that doesn't sound right. Whereas with Supergirl, obviously you can't make her like her cousin, right? So obviously they go in a different direction.
You kind of
make her a bit of a party animal, really.
Yeah, you have to do something different, and because by nature, right, Superman is pretty much indestructible, right? Like he doesn't have a ton of weaknesses. So other than playing around with kryptonite, right, it's kind of hard to do more with that character, right? Like he's kind of just there, and he's there to kind of break the boundaries whenever he needs to, right? Like he is I would say the strongest character, one of the strongest characters that exists within the DC universe, right? So when you're doing something like that, it's hard to have a truly strong foe to go against, right? So for them to kind of go the route that it looks like they're going with Supergirl is both interesting decision to make, but also comes with its own form of risk, which I guess we'll see more of as we check out the trailer.
Well, to be fair, I mean, if Superman kind of set our expectations low after what we've seen, I mean, then really Supergirl doesn't really have that far to reach in terms of what the expectations are. I mean, if you think about it, all she can really do is go up.
That's very true.
So let's go ahead and take a look at that. And there's supposed to be a brief flash of Jason Momoa as Lobo. So let's see if you can catch that.
I mean, come on, like...
You managed to get most of it on the paper this time. Good job, buddy.
I don't know quite how I feel about that, but sure.
Hereby declare that 23 will be the best year yet. let's be honest, babe, it's not a very high bar to clear.
I didn't know any of you were still alive. What was it like to lose everything in a day?
You know who this character is supposed to be? Like, some of these characters, I'm like, I don't know any of this.
Well, it looks like it looks like the city of Kandor being bottled up and shrunken down, because in the comics, Brainiac, he collects cities and planets, so he famously captures the Kryptonian city of Kandor and shrinks and bottles it up. So
okay.
So technically,
Thank you.
so technically, Supergirl and Superman aren't really the last of Krypton, because you've got, you know, Kandor like rattling off somewhere, doing its own thing.
Gotcha.
It's a bit of a Coyote Ugly vibe to it, I might say too.
They're a bunch of bartenders?
Pretty much.
Okay, this does not look like this is gonna end well. For you guys.
Do others on your planet have powers like you?
No, it's a pretty small group of two.
What's Superman like?
Up there goes Lobo.
Yep.
Sorry if anyone missed it.
And everyone. And I see the truth.
The whole 2 seconds of it we're gonna get. Yeah,
So that comes out June 26th. Now to be fair, it may not be Kandor that we're seeing getting bottled up, but I know in comic book lore, that's the most famous city that gets shrunken and bottled up. So it could be any alien city. Doesn't necessarily have to be Kandor.
Gotcha.
I just want to put that as a disclaimer in case anybody in the comments says, you don't know what you're talking about. That's not Kandor. That's another city. So, but yeah, Lee, you know, like I said, I mean, beginning of the trailer, I was kind of getting Coyote Ugly vibes from it. You know, hitting dive bars and, you know, just putting out disco balls and, you know, just getting lit, as it were. You know.
Yeah, like I said, you have to take it a different direction, right? But it also makes me think back to the Flash, right, where we see another version of this character, which was also kind of like downtrodden. And kind of has lost her faith in humanity type of thing. So I feel like we've kind of seen that depicted. Now, granted, not, you know, the vision that maybe they're wanting to go for, but it does make me think of that version of it. I'm like, okay, so she's gonna, you know, kind of gets depicted as being, you know, all like mad or upset or, you know, both about whatever's going on. And, you know, it does help, I think, give a little bit of that humanity, right, to the characters. And I think that's something that they wanted to do as well in the Superman film, is how do you make a guy that, you know, is as strong as Superman? How do you create his character, right? How do you do that in an effective way that makes him feel, I don't want to say grounded in reality, right? Because you're never going to make Superman grounded unless you totally strip him away of his powers. But, you know, how do you help do that in a way that at least allows you to just kind of deal with, or, you know, just kind of, you know, kind of exist with the situation. So I do think that it's an interesting choice, but I do feel like you have to mix it up at this stage, right? We've seen so much with superheroes. I don't think we could sit here and continuously watch the same thing over and over again without there being something else or something different that makes people want to or be invested in this. So it's a bold choice, but I feel like you have to take some risk at this stage. Yeah, because I mean, there's so many times you can follow the same playbook before it kind of gets, you know, played out. I mean, exactly.
I mean, for God's sakes, I mean, Marvel they're literally bringing back everybody from, you know, from the old MCU. Or,
oh yeah,
I don't want to say the old MCU, but the first 4 phases,
yes.
And kind of, you know, I guess repurposing them, because RDJ spent 10 years as Iron Man, and now he's gonna come back as Doctor Doom, which should be a barrel of laughs, really, to say the least. So, but yeah, I mean, to your point, I mean, I mean, there's only so many times you can portray these heroes, consistently or in the same way, right? I mean, Superman is a goody two shoes who can't do no wrong, and he's as straight as an arrow. Whereas you kind of have, if you think about it, this is really the only direction they could go with Supergirl, right? Because it's not like they can have her be a carbon copy of Clark Kent, because if they did that,
Exactly.
it really wouldn't advance, it really wouldn't advance the narrative. So you kind of have to go with this sort of Coyote Ugly meets The Hangover, but with metahumans kind of thing, in order to at least come up with something that's different from typical fare. I would even say that, you could sort of see hints of James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy in there too, because this is a story taking place in space, and we do see, very briefly, Jason Momoa as Lobo the bounty hunter.
Yeah, he's about very brief. Like, wow, they're really it makes me wonder how much Lobo is actually going to be in it. I know you don't want to give away everything right before it goes out, but gosh, that was I don't even know if you got a good shot of him. It's just kind of like him walking through something, and I'm like, gosh, I don't know if I got a good glimpse of what he's gonna look like. So, general
rule of thumb is if we don't see them that much in the trailer, we're gonna see them a lot in the movie. So
that's true. That is true. That is true. It's not not gonna be like, hey, it's definitely gonna be like that. But yeah, it's just we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it comes out June 26th. So we've got a few months to kill before then. But I wouldn't say it's something that we're going to be jumping up and down, waving our hands in anticipation, just saying to ourselves, "Oh wow, I can't wait for June to come. It couldn't come, fast enough." It's one of those things, like when you watch it, you kind of, I don't know if I should scratch my head or if I should kind of just bang my head against the wall and just say, "When's this all going to end?" Because Peacemaker season 2 really didn't come out the way that season 1 did, and Superman, for all its visual glory, it really didn't hit the mark. You know what I mean? So so really with Supergirl, it's kind of like, well, is there really any financial incentive to kind of make sure that that it performs pretty well? Because 2026 is going to be a pretty busy year, because we've got Spider-Man Brand New Day coming out. That's
true. I forgot about that.
yeah. In which case, we get to see what Peter Parker's been doing since No Way Home, and not to mention, the big elephant in the room, Avengers: Doomsday, which comes out in December of that year. So it is going to be quite an interesting 2026 as we see these superhero movies come out. And gosh, Lee, like these movies, movies like these, they've been playing a prominent role in cinema for over close to 20 years now, if not over
easily, right? So it's been 2 decades, and I feel like we definitely saw a lot less this year, right? Wasn't a whole lot going on, so I feel like they've been quieter with it. And now that you kind of brought up the schedule, it's like, oh yeah, geez, like we are.
Hold on. Nate, I remind you, we did a review of Thunderbolts, Captain America, right? Brave New World, Fantastic Four, and Superman. So I wouldn't say it was quiet, but it was pretty busy.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I will retract that statement, right? So let's just go ahead. We'll just go ahead and just blur that part out, right? But yeah,
and let's not forget, Lee, you did indulge in self punishment by watching Ironheart too. So
I did. That's true.
And
maybe I'm thinking more of 2024, right? What came out in 2024?
Yeah, 2024. Like Jesus, like we were scraping the barrel trying to figure out what to do. I think that was the year you and I did the review of that Spider-Man animated movie. It was the one with Haley Steinfeld. What was it? Across the Spider-Verse or something like that.
Oh yeah, well that's really good. I don't count that one, right? And that also did not come out. I don't think came out in 2024. So we had Deadpool, Wolverine, we had Kraven the Hunter, right, and Madam Web.
Yeah.
So those are the ones that are sticking out of my head right now. So I guess we also had the last Venom movie. So okay,
I totally forgot about that.
Right? But we've definitely hit a little bit of a lull as far as the quality of stuff that's out there. But I think 225 we had a little bit more of a rebound, right? I think there's some of this stuff that we could be, I would say decently happy with, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see what 2026 has got for us, right? We're
Well,
here
also-
and we're gonna do what's gonna do.
We'll also keep in mind too, because because DC Studios was still trying to like get itself back into shape after James Gunn took over and was trying to figure out, well, how do I fix this mess that Zack Snyder and everybody else kind of messed up before I got involved, right? So really 2025 was the year that DC kind of that DC started to kind of consistently put out more content than they did years prior, right? Because as we did in our review of the Flash, we really didn't know where they were going. By the time you get to the end of the DCEU, it's like, are they trying to do like a multiverse thing, or are they trying to do like a revamped Justice League? Where are they going with here? So
Yeah.
So so going forward, I mean, we're definitely going to see more of DC content coming out, because we had Superman as one of the movies. Well, I would say the herald of DC's re-entry into cinema, and now we've got Supergirl. But it is quite interesting, because I think, and I'll even play devil's advocate too. I'll even say like what they're doing is is pretty good, because if Marvel is trying to be all epic and high and noble with with the Fantastic Four and the Avengers and the X-Men doing their best to save the universe, DC's more of, well, I'm just here to have fun. Like, I may have I'll have this this superpowered alien flying around worlds and getting drunk and getting shit-faced and getting chased by people, but hey, it's a different tone. It's not following the the Marvel playbook. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, let us know down in the comments below what your thoughts are. Are you interested in seeing Supergirl? Are you excited that they're taking Supergirl in a new direction? Or do you feel like Marvel is the shit, or you just don't care at all, like us? Be sure to let us know. But because it is our job, well, it's not really our job, Lee, it's our hobby to review movies, we are going to be doing a review of Supergirl at some point. So
Yeah,
check that out.
Big not to, right?
Yeah, so if you do want to check that out, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you're in the loop. And yeah, other than that, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next one.